Okay, Top Gear Episode 2 has now been aired. I know it's a bit later than the previous response from the first episode, but this is the second episode. And what do I think of it? Okay, look, right. Let's actually go through each segment and go through it. Again, I went in with an open mind like before, and yeah, right. First up, the supercar review was to do with McLaren, and I like the cars. I still like them to this day. In fact, McLaren is one of my favourite automotive brands. They had the McLaren F1 and the McLaren F1 Longtail and the GTR. And Chris Evans just would not shut up. I can understand that he had to shout for the McLaren F1 because obviously in that car it's so unbelievably loud that there's obviously no soundproofing in that car. But then it went on to the McLaren 675 LT, which, in all fairness, it is carrying on the Longtail name. But Chris, even though the volume of the car went down, the volume of Chris Evans did not. He just would not shut up. And I can now see why not many people like him, and to be honest, as a Top Gear host. And one thing I will mention as well, going back to episode 1, when they were introducing the Stig, why did Chris feel the need to suddenly prance around shouting, "We've got custody, we've got custody"? Was there any need for that? Yeah, great, you've got the Stig, but there's no need to be a dick about it. But he's still being that way. And also, as well, going back to the beginning, the very beginning, before the McLaren test, why was Chris brought in on a hospital bed by Matt LeBlanc and he pretended to be sedated? Well, what's the point of that? What is the actual point of that? I did not get it at all. There was no logic in that bit. What was that meant to do? It meant us to watch more? I thought Chris was dead. Great. Chris is dead. I mean, yeah, in all fairness, now the McLaren is now the fastest car around the Top Gear test track. That's great. Oh, God. Then it went on to the first part of the Ultimate SUV test. This is with the Porsche Macan, the Mercedes GLC, sorry, I'm looking at Wikipedia, and the new Jag F-Pace. In all fairness, the Jag is a very nice car. The Porsche is okay, and the Mercedes, well, I'll get on to that in a moment. Actually, before I actually do the SUV test, going back to the McLaren test, they had Jenson Button on as one of the guests, and I'm not gonna lie, he was a way better person to be on Top Gear. I'm not even joking about that. For instance, when he was in the McLaren, just driving around, drifting and sliding and spinning and causing lots of tyre smoke, all he went was, "Oh, look at the lovely Alcantara on this A-pin. Isn't it lovely?" That was brilliant. I absolutely loved that bit. And another benefit, Chris Evans shut up at that point, and I was like, thank fuck for that. Yeah, that was one thing I needed to mention. Going back to the SUVs, why Eddie Jordan? Why Eddie Jordan? I mean, yeah, Chris in the Jag, he still didn't shut up. Matt LeBlanc in the Porsche, who really just doesn't give a shit. Good on him, he really doesn't give a shit. And then we had Eddie Jordan in the Mercedes. Why? Just why? They had the right engines in the Jag and the Porsche, but the Mercedes, they only had a 2.2 litre diesel, which has no contest. Okay, why did I need to know this? And again, going back to they also had a couple of other guests on. They had C6 Steve, Tiny Temper, and Charlene Spiteri. Yeah, Charlene Spiteri. Again, not gonna lie, C6 Steve would have been a much better host. I'm just saying that, just putting it out there. Just have to mention it. So would Tiny Temper, in all fairness. I respect Tiny Temper in a way, but honestly, just stick to your music. It's fine. I think you can tell by the enthusiasm of this, it's not really good about Top Gear now, to be honest with you. And then it went on to the guests actually being interviewed. There was Tiny Temper wasn't there, unfortunately, but Eddie Jordan was on the seat, as was C6 Steve and Charlene, and they brought on Damian Lewis as their main guest. And as I was watching the interviews, I swear I went, have we seen this before? Because the layout of the previous interview, it was, what are you up to now? They got the actual guest to say what the other guest is up to, not Chris Evans going, oh, what are you up to now? And then the guest saying, oh, I'm doing this. It's more, right, Gordon, can you tell us what Jesse Eisenberg is up to? Why are you getting the guest to tell me this? And it was exactly the same thing with this interview. It was exactly the same format. I was getting really, genuinely bored at this point. Jeez. Yeah, and the same sort of thing. What was your first car? Oh, it was this. And they compared Damien's to C6 Steve's. C6 Steve's car story was brilliant. I absolutely loved how he came about this car. He's like, I found this car abandoned and I absolutely fell in love with it. Damian Lewis, I just bought it. There you go, I just bought it. And again, audience participation in that one. Yeah, okay, whatever. Then when it came on to the best car, this is where I just, what? Well, put it this way. Best car for Damian Lewis was a Mini Cooper convertible. Fair point, well made. Road car, like it. Then when it went on to Eddie Jordan, it was Michael Schumacher's Formula 1 car. The first one that he drove, the one with the 7-Up sponsors. That was his best car. He never fucking drove it. Why are you saying that's your best car, Eddie? That was a car that Michael Schumacher drove, not you. Shut your face. There was no contest in that. No contest whatsoever. And then it went on to, obviously, the lap in the rallycross car. There was no enthusiasm from the audience at all. And again, I heard reports about how they used canned laughter in the first episode, and this was very much the case in this one. Whenever the audience was meant to laugh at something, all I heard was canned laughter, and I saw the audience just like this. That's it. They were just blank, nothing, no smile, no smirk, no shuddering of shoulders or anything like that. Because, and yeah, at that point, I just got completely bored of the whole program as a whole. I didn't watch the second part of the SUV test, and I just ended up watching Game Grumps. That's what it got to. I got to watching Top Gear, one of my absolute favourite car shows, to watching Game Grumps at the same time. And I'm going to justify why I did that. It's not because I wanted to watch something else to get my mind off of Top Gear. I genuinely love what the Game Grumps do, with Aaron Hansen, Danny, and everybody there. It was, and I actually love watching them because they are very entertaining. Top Gear used to be the most entertaining car program on the BBC, without a shadow of a doubt. But what it's become now with Chris Evans and Matt LeBlanc, what they're doing to it, they are frankly ruining what Top Gear is like. I'm losing interest in Top Gear because of what they are doing, and they're drawing me to something else I enjoy watching, which is the Game Grumps. That's what Top Gear's become to me, and it was very much a given with the viewing figures, because I saw that in episode 1 they had, at the time, first figures came in for, it was like 4.4 million. They were meant to hit 5.5 million viewers. They never reached that target. They were 1.1 million off, and most recent figures have come in for episode 2, 2.8 overnight, 2.8 million. I think it shows how bad the program's going to be. So, does that mean I'll end up watching the 3rd episode? To be honest, I highly doubt it anymore. It really has got that bad. I'm just disappointed in what Top Gear is. I'm not angry, to be honest, at what Top Gear's become. I'm just really disappointed and just downhearted on what it now is. I think I'm going to refer to whatever information comes in on Wikipedia, and if it's even just remotely interesting, I might consider it. I might consider watching Top Gear. But if not, well, we'll have to watch this space, really, I guess. But yeah, I think my recommendation at the moment is, before I even go on to that, I was actually talking to my boss about this, and even he thought it was a load of shit. And I know he doesn't really like Clarkson. He likes Richard Hammond and James May, but he really hates this new Top Gear. He hates it. And my dad, well, he fell asleep halfway through. I think that kind of says it all, really. And when I was talking about this with my boss, he actually said, you know who can make much better hosts? Jensen Button, fair point, Jodie Kidd, and Philip Glenister. Can you imagine them as the host of Top Gear? And they did it in their own way, not copying what the previous 3 made. Anyway, yeah. Top Gear episode 2. Load of shite. Absolute shite.